What's good, guys? Welcome back to the full card predictions. We started all over again after a beautiful card at UFC 313. We go over Marvin Vettori versus Roman Dolidze, UFC Fight Night. It's going to be an amazing event. But of course, we can't go over next week without going over what happened last week. So I want to make sure that we had two fights that fell off. So Casaneda and I believe it was the Curtis Blades fight fell off. So I'm not counting those as wins. I'm not counting those as losses. Out of 10 fights, I got 7 right, 3 wrong. Lock of the week hits. We are bounce back. It's finally back. Lock of the week hits. We are on a lock of the week streak. Let's fucking go. And I just can't wait. What did I say? I say I only care about one thing if my lock of the week hits, because that's what I'm here for. I'm here to provide a good lock of the week and make a good lock of the week streak. I want to beat my 7-fight lock of the week streak, and I'm going for a 10-fight lock of the week streak. Let's go. I want to mention how Carlos Leal, amazing performance, first round KO over Moreno. I want Moreno to stay back. I want him to keep being in the UFC. I know a lot of people want him to retire, but come on, one more fight. Let's retire him on a win. Santos versus Diaz was a very good scrap, but we have to mention, guys, how Ozzy Diaz looked amazing. He put the volume, he put the pace, and he ended up taking that fight. He definitely won that fight, and I want to mention the Marshall fight. I don't think Santos won that fight. Marian Santos, I don't think he won that fight, guys. I got a little lucky with that Marian Santos pick. But we know Francis Marshall is the rightfully deserved winner. Let me know what you guys think of that fight. Was that a robbery? Ruffy with the beautiful spin kick KO. I wouldn't have seen that coming a mile away. If you were to tell me he was going to get a first round TKO, I wouldn't have thought it was going to be a spinning kick. He actually lands it, and boom, puts Bobby Green to sleep. Lasmi Lucindo was one of my iffy picks as well. I was very low confident, and I should have went Amanda Lemos. Veteran experience, takes her to the ground, shows. Lucindo's only 23 years old. She'll be back. And Bahamondes gets the submission win over Jalen Turner. But we have to mention how Jalen Turner had a lot of success early. He had a lot of success, and I don't want to see him retire. Don't retire. His team was trying to talk him out of it. Jalen Turner, don't retire, bro. It happens, bro. It happens. Gaethje versus Fiziev. Gaethje, phenomenal performance. Masterclass. This guy's throwing a head kick in the clinch exchange. Like, when he's in clinch exchange, he's throwing a high kick. And Gaethje is always a phenomenal beast to watch. And Uncle Ive gets the W. So, let's go over the bets. Let's go. Obviously, we have a massive card ahead of us, so stay tuned. Let's go. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let me just fix my hat. Let's go. Obviously, the hair is getting longer, so it's going to be a little bit of a hassle, but here we go. Just trying to fix the hat. Here we go. Let's look at the bets. My first bet, I had Alex Pereira in a long shot parlay, just in case, we have to worry about the worst outcome. So I put Alex Pereira in a long shot just because I was going to be taking Magomed Alive. And you guys know that the second bonus on 6 best bets was that this fight doesn't go the distance. That's the only bonus that didn't hit. The over 2.5 hit for 6 best bets in lock of the week. So I've been getting a little bit better, and I'm trying to get a longer lock of the week streak. I had a 9-leg parlay. Martin Santos by points, got a little lucky there. Carlos Leal by KO on points, under 2.5. Bruno Ferreira gets a beautiful submission in the 6 best bets. Joshua Van in the 6 best bets, minus 156. Amazing takedown defense. Mauricio Ruffy, over 2.5. Ignacio Bahamondes, over 2.5, and then I had Alex Pereira. So that's a little bit of a 9-leg that didn't hit. Then we have this, over 2.5, Joshua Van, Mauricio Ruffy, KO on points, over 2.5, Ignacio Bahamondes, under, over 2.5, and Alex Pereira doesn't go the distance. So this is the second bonus, the only bonus that didn't hit. Now we're going to go into the hits. Ignacio Bahamondes, lock of the week. Let's go, my guy. This is the only thing I care about, whether lock of the week hits or doesn't. I could get the entire card wrong. All I care about is if lock of the week hits. Let's go. Now, this one was a little bit of a good parlay, plus 2. Good luck for me. Over 2.5, Marian Santos fight. I think Marshall should have won that fight. Alex Moreno fight doesn't go the distance. No, minus 182. Bruno Ferreira, plus 114. Over 2.5, Mauricio Ruffy by KO on points. Justin Gaethje, plus 136. I had to hedge, guys. I had to hedge. Gaethje is an absolute demon. I should have pick flipped to Gaethje. Then right here, over 2.5. 55 to win 92. I thought it was pretty good. Over 2.5. Obviously, it was a minus 136 earlier, but obviously the odds fluctuate right before. So I got a little bit less value, but I should have hunted a little bit earlier. Over 2.5 hits. And the over 2.5 for Alex Pereira's Magomed Alive. And I should have done a live bet, but I was just excited that I finally, I saw Israel Adesanya lose to Imavov. Dricus du Plessis, I picked him, but he lackluster performance against Strickland. I was just happy. It's a good fight. It was a good fight. In my opinion, I gave Pereira rounds 1 and 5, and Ankalaev 2, 3, and 4. Let me know what you guys think. So, finally, we're here. Let's get into the full card predictions of UFC Fight Night, Vettori versus Dolidze. This is going to be an absolute banger card. Not only is this going to be an absolute banger card, but I'm sorry I'm a little bit late, guys. I know I usually upload a little bit earlier, but I had to get a lot of notes. This is a 13 fight card, so without further ado, there's rumors. I don't know if this is true. Take this with a grain of salt, but there's rumors that Vettori has a shoulder injury. I don't know how good of a source that is, but I'm going to take that with a grain of salt. Let's go into the first fight. Yuneisy, Duben versus Carli Judice. With this fight right here, we know plus 385 for Duben and Carli Judice is minus 500. Duben is a real athlete. Very rarely do we see a woman MMA fighter perform the way Duben can. She's an amazing freak of nature, very deceptive power. If you know Yuneisy Duben, you can remember her highlight reel KO over Shannon Clark. I believe she grabbed a leg and hit an overhand with a beautiful massive upset. She was a massive underdog in that fight, and guess what? She's a massive underdog again against Carli Judice. Carli Judice is another blonde who is 3-2 in her last 5, and the reason why I say that is because I believe Shannon Clark is a little bit kind of similar to Carli Judice, but take that with a grain of salt. Carli is 3-2 in her last 5. Very well-rounded, good low kicks, has very good cardio, and can get up immediately after getting taken down. She may be more well-rounded than Duben, more technical as well. But no matter what, I see this fight being very competitive. Not only on the feet, but no matter where this fight goes, it's going to be very competitive. Her most recent loss is a split decision loss to Gabriela Fernandez, and was hit more often than I'd imagined she would be hit in that fight. Carli is taller, the reach is on her side, and she has experience as well. But I give the power edge to Duben all day. These odds make no sense. Time after time, we always see at least one fight on the card where the odds are completely off. Armin Petrosian, Bruno Ferreira. Carli is the more technical, but a good blast double. And I think she can maybe get Duben to the ground. I have to mention how Duben has beautiful power, and that beautiful technique that she has where she grabs the leg and she throws an overhand. I think that can hit, and it will be value for her. We have to mention that Duben has a 100% finish rate, and she's finished all 6 of her opponents. We never seen her cardio put to the test, and if it gets to the 3rd round, maybe Carli Judice might take this fight. Duben is going to be the pick, but she's a massive underdog. Maybe the fight doesn't go the distance. Is a great play. I'm going to be taking Duben money line, Duben by KO on points, and we know Duben was a plus 500 in her last Dana White Contender Series fight, and Shannon Clark went to sleep. So it's going to be a little bit of a crazy fight right here because we know Carli Judice can take this fight if it goes the distance. But give me Yuneisy Duben by TKO. I'll go 2nd or 3rd round TKO. Let's go Duben for the win. I do think it's going to be a very competitive fight. If this girl can be a little bit more technical, Carli Judice can easily take this. She actually has the more experience in the UFC. She's been in the UFC, and Duben is making her UFC debut. So give me Duben by TKO. I'll go 2nd round TKO. Let's go, Duben. Come on. Let's do it. Josiane Nunes versus Priscila Cachoeira. This is another fight where it's a little bit of a crazy fight. You never know what you're going to get with Josiane Nunes. Minus 225 for Josiane Nunes versus Priscila Cachoeira. Plus 190. Josiane Nunes is a powerhouse. She's a freak of nature. A brute of pure strength, and she is 3-2 in her last 5. And sometimes she can struggle with a good grappler, but her hands are exactly where her bread and butter is at. She has great volume, and she's a former soccer player, so she has explosive kicks, good overhands, very good low center of gravity, and she hits harder than Priscila, I would imagine. Her most recent bout is a split decision loss to Jacqueline Cavalcanti, who we know Jacqueline Cavalcanti is very good in her division, matched up against Priscila Cachoeira. Another powerful striker, but just not as much pop in her shots. Good pressure, always moves forward. She's 2-3 in her last 5. She has a negative striking differential. Needs to eat one to give one. Her most recent bout is a loss by submission to Jasmine Jasudavicius, who we know is matched up against Jessica Andrade. So Jasmine Jasudavicius has a very tough fight against her, and there's no shame in losing to Jasmine. Very good scrap right here. I think the over 2.5 might hit, but there's a world with the under 2.5 hits. Nunes needs more low kicks, better takedown defense, and she needs to cut the cage, walk Priscila down, and hunt her down. Excuse me. I'm coughing on my lemonade. Be the hunter. Hunt her. Priscila, I imagine she would be the prey, and she's getting hunted in this cage. I imagine Nunes to plot forward, walk forward, and manage distance, and have success with her beautiful striking. It's not the best. Sometimes it could get a little bit sloppy, but if she gets into her flow state, she can have a lot more success, and I think she beats Priscila Cachoeira. I'm going to go Nunes by KO on points, and I'll take the over 2.5, but we know that there's a world where Nunes can get a beautiful KO over Priscila, or maybe finish her inside the distance. We know Priscila is 3-2 in her last 5. Her 2 wins are to Ariana Dolidze and Ji Young Kim. I think Josiane Nunes has faced tougher competition, and I think she should be able to cruise her way to a decision win, if not by TKO. Give me Josiane Nunes by KO on points. I even like her money line at a minus 225. I think she's parlayable. Give me Josiane Nunes for the win. Let's go, Josiane Nunes. André Lima versus Daniel Barez. This is going to be an absolute banger fight again. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, women's MMA. Why do we have so many women's MMA? At least we got some good plays. We got some good fights. André Lima, minus 280. Daniel Barez, plus 240. André Lima showed some good wrestling against Felipe dos Santos. André Lima at times can be pressured on the back foot, but he has great footwork overall. André Lima is a beautiful counter puncher, and he has very good combos, and he strikes to the body too. André Lima has a great get-up game and great scrambles. We saw that in the Felipe dos Santos fight. Dos Santos has very good pressure, which made Lima a little bit uncomfortable, and it forced Lima to wrestle. Lima he has a very cool hat he wears after he wins. In his celebration, he has a nice little hat that he wears after he wins, and I imagine him to wear that same hat here. Lima has decent cardio too. Matched up against Daniel Barez, an explosive freak of nature, fast hands, great takedowns, and he can find a sub on the way down. Daniel Barez chases submissions over positions way too often and can sometimes get a little too sloppy. Barez can get taken down as well. Daniel Barez just recently beat Victor Altamirano. Daniel Barez showed very good striking in that fight, but he got a little tired towards the end. One of my most anticipated fights on this card, André eventually will lose if he keeps on grabbing the fence, eye pokes, and grabs the fence over and over again, and he grabs the inside of your glove. André Lima is a little bit of a dirty fighter. I'd imagine him to have a lot more success in the striking department, but come on, André Lima, stop grabbing the fence, bro. Stop. I think Daniel can take a round off of Lima. Maybe the plus 3.5 for Daniel Barez. Maybe. You know, he can take a round. Maybe he can make this fight a little bit more competitive, put the pressure on André Lima, make him uncomfortable, and maybe André Lima shoots a takedown and gets control and controls the pace, but that's not his bread and butter. André Lima's a striker. With this fight right here, it looks like these guys are almost identical when it comes to reach and height. So it's going to be a very good fight. Lima by decision is the play for me, and I'm going to be going the over 2.5. Obviously, we know Lima can get a KO, like it's possible on LFA scene. But in my opinion, guys, obviously that fight against Igor Soriano was a little bit funny because he bit him. He bit André Lima, and André Lima gets the tattoo. But I will say with this fight right here, I'm going to go André Lima by decision. If this fight gets ugly, if he puts the pressure, if Daniel Barez puts the pressure, makes this fight sloppy, you can bring André Lima into a little bit of a barn burner fight. Give me André Lima by decision. Let's go over 2.5 as well. André Lima should be able to win this fight. Let's go, my guy. Let's go. Josias Musasa versus Carlos Vera. I think this is going to be an absolute banger scrap as well. When we look at the odds, minus 500 for Josias Musasa. And we know that the odds are all over the place with this card. Versus Carlos Vera, who's a plus 375. Excuse me, guys. Josias is very fast, and he has very good technique. And his technique kind of relies a little bit on his speed. Height and reach will be on his side. He's pretty good defensively wise, and he always looks for a finish, which is what I enjoy from watching a lot of these fighters. Very good power for bantamweight. 26 years old, very young, and he tends to headhunt more often than I'd like him to. His most recent bout is a close split decision win over Antari Tanizalovi on Dana White Contender Series. Correct me if I pronounce that wrong. Matched up against a Venezuelan, Carlos Vera. Very compact, a good athlete with great movement. Tends to move while striking, very well-rounded. From what I've seen, his takedown selection isn't the best, and he can get reversed very easily, but he has good BJJ, and sometimes he spends a little bit too much time on his back. He can be creative in the striking department. He's coming off of that decision loss to Rinya Nakamura, who we know Rinya Nakamura just got fraud checked by Moyun Gafarov. Carlos rolls too much for a submission, in my opinion. If this fight gets ugly, Carlos can win if his opponent gasses, but not likely. Josias Musasa for the win by KO on points, but if he's not able to get that KO, he's going to be a little bit tired. He might be a little bit gassed, and maybe Carlos Vera can, take a round. I'm going to go Josias Musasa by second or third round TKO, but I'm going to be taking the KO or on points because I like the double chance, and double chance saves us a lot. Just look at the Ruffy versus Green fight. I had the over 1.5 in one parlay, and Ruffy by KO on points is actually the better play because he gets a first round TKO. So give me Josias Musasa by KO on points, double chance. I'll go second or third round TKO. Let's go, Josias Musasa. Let's go. This fight right here is going to be an absolute banger. Diyar, correct me if I'm pronouncing it wrong, minus 250 for Diyar Nurgozhay versus Brendson Ribeiro, who's plus 210. Another UFC newcomer, Diyar. Kazakhstan is a very good place where a lot of these MMA athletes come from. And not only just MMA athletes, they're some of the best athletes in cage fighting. Diyar looked amazing on Dana White Contender Series with a brutal second round TKO win over Barso Suetchik. Diyar has very good power and a nice high kick. He can mix it up, wrestle for an entire 3 rounds, or knock you out cold. Diyar is someone who I really look forward to seeing compete in the light heavyweight division, but he has a very tough test ahead of him. Brendson Ribeiro, a powerhouse looking to slug it out and go to war, is going to be an absolute banger fight. This fight screams war. Ribeiro has good takedowns and very good selection of submissions. He is very well-rounded. The biggest red flag from Ribeiro is his chin. He's coming off of that sloppy win over Caio Machado, who we know Caio Machado was cut from the UFC after a performance like that. Ribeiro lost to Mingyang Zhang, but it isn't as bad when we're looking at it now because Zhang has knocked out so many opponents just like Ozzy Diaz, who we know just beat Jordan Santos. Ribeiro can win this fight if he decides to wait for a counter and let his opponent get tired and work low kicks. I'm going to be taking the newcomer Diyar. After seeing his resume, I think he is here to stay in the UFC, and his KO win over Emiliano Sordi was a brutal KO. Give me Diyar by KO on points. This fight doesn't go the distance. I wonder what you guys are thinking. If you guys agree with me, Majority Tapology is taking that this fight ends by KO. I like that this fight ends by KO. Give me the under 2.5. And give me Diyar by KO on points and Diyar by straight KO. If I have to predict, I'll go second round TKO. He's 27 years old, making his UFC debut. So that's a little bit of a red flag when you're matched up against a veteran. So this is going to be an absolute war. But just look at this guy's traps. This guy looks like he's built to win. He's built to cage fight. Let's go, Diyar, for the win. Let's go, my guy. Let's go. I'm very excited for this fight. I know a lot of people aren't excited for this fight, but I am very excited for this fight. Not only am I excited for this fight, but I think it's going to be a good scrap no matter who wins. Sam Hughes versus Stephanie Luciano. Luciano's a minus 255, plus 215 for Sam Hughes. Sam Hughes is 4-5 in the UFC. She's 4-5 in the UFC and 3-2 in her last 5. Sam Hughes can try and wrestle at times, move forward. She has a negative striking differential. She's very tough and she always works, and she eats a punch to give one. Her most recent bout is against Victoria Dudakova, I believe it's a beautiful win over Victoria Dudakova. She put her cardio on full display. I don't like how she lost to Yasmin Uruguay and Piera Rodriguez because we know Yasmin Uruguay lost brutally to Ketlin Souza, who we know Ketlin Souza lost to Angela Hill. A bit of a red flag. Stephanie is looking to stay busy in the striking department, and she's looking to hold you against the cage, drag you down, hold you there. And we know none of these girls are dangerous, but that doesn't mean it's not going to be a good scrap. Stephanie really impressed me with her win over Tatiana Alenkar because I picked Alenkar on Dana White Contender Series, and it goes to a draw. Then they rematch, and Stephanie wins the rematch. That fight decisively. Stephanie is the taller fighter by 1 inch, and she has a 2-inch reach advantage. I think Stephanie is miles ahead of Sam Hughes. Her fight with Alenkar was great, and she put me on the map when she beat Alenkar. Plus 3.5 for Sam Hughes. Hopefully, maybe she can win a round. Stephanie by decision is the play. I'll go Stephanie by submission on points, maybe for a little bit more value. Whichever one, I'll take double chance. I think she wins this fight by decision. But we have to mention how Sam Hughes is 32 years old. She has more experience. She's been in the UFC for way longer. And we know Stephanie Luciano only has 1 fight in the UFC. Give me Stephanie Luciano for the win. I'll go by straight decision. I'll go 29-28 by unanimous decision. Let's go Stephanie Luciano for the win. Let's go. I can't wait for that fight. I can't wait for Stephanie Luciano. Waldo, Cortes-Acosta versus Ryan Spann. This is going to be pretty funny, maybe a little lackluster, but I think it's going to be a good scrap. Waldo, Cortes-Acosta versus Ryan Spann. Waldo Cortes-Acosta minus 200, Ryan Spann plus 170. Waldo Costa has gotten better each and every single fight that I've seen him in. I know someone or some fans may not like Costa and they might hate him because of his lackluster performances. But he's very interesting to watch at times, and he emotes a lot in between fights. Costa is a full, well-rounded athlete with a good wrestling capability, and we know Costa's on a 3-fight win streak, being Lucas Brzeski, Andrei Arlovski, and, of course, Robelis de Spain. In that fight with Andrei Arlovski, I thought Costa could have finished that fight, but he's dancing around Arlovski, and he won that fight decisively. His most recent loss is to Marcos Rodrigo de Lima, who I believe just popped for performance-enhancing drugs, matched up against Ryan Spann. Ryan Spann just snapped a 3-fight losing skid with a win over Ovince St. Peru. And we know that win over Ovince St. Peru isn't the best because we know what we're going to get with Ovince St. Peru. He's not the best fighter. He's on the end of his career. And I don't really rate that win over Ovince St. Peru that highly, but we know Ryan Spann, very good for him. Ryan Spann just snapped a 3-fight losing skid with a win over Ovince St. Peru, who we know isn't the best. Spann is 2-3 in his last 5. Ryan Spann has 19 stoppages and 22 wins. 13 of his stoppages are by sub. I think this fight will go the distance, but because of Costa, not because of Spann. Spann is a guy who normally doesn't go the distance. Spann is normally a slugger with power who can mix in a sub. I would take Costa by KO on points or even Costa by sub or points just in case. But just in case Ryan Spann isn't as durable as he used to be. I expect this fight to go the distance, but there's nothing certain in MMA. Costa is the faster, taller, more explosive, and he finally started wrestling in his career. The veteran experience is on Spann, but I'm going to pick Costa. Costa by KO on points and Costa by decision and the over 2.5. But I think the over 2.5 hits because of Costa, not because of Ryan Spann. We have to mention Ryan Spann's reach advantage. 79-inch reach advantage. The fact that this guy has a 79-inch reach advantage, majority Tapology thinks that this fight's a lot closer than the odds are making it. If you're going Ryan Spann, take him by KO or submission. I don't think he's going to win this fight by decision, but he can win a decision. He won a decision over, I believe... No, Anthony Smith won a decision over him. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, he lost the decision by Anthony Smith. So give me Costa to win this fight by decision. I'll take the over 2.5. Let's go Waldo or Cortes-Acosta. I know a lot of people are waiting for him to lose, but I think he's going to perform very well. Sung Young Yu versus AJ Cunningham. This is one of the biggest favorites on the card. Minus 700 for Sung Young Yu versus AJ Cunningham plus 500. I'm excited for this fight. I really like this card. I'm excited. I hope you guys are excited as I am. The last time we saw Sung Young Yu was at UFC Macau, where I picked him to beat Jealously by decision. We know Sung Young Yu is a hard wrestler, looking to take you down and work. He attempts around 20 plus takedown attempts per fight. He's like a mini Marab, but he can actually take you down and maintain some good top control. His transitions through your guard like a hot knife through butter. Sung Young Yu's red flag is that he can get a little bit messy in the striking department. He had 2 out of 5 takedowns in his last fight at UFC Macau, where it's a little bit of a red flag, but he was able to control. Matched up against AJ Cunningham. Massive underdog, good striker, gets hit a little bit more often than I'd like him to, but he's always looking for pressure, and he has good kicks, and he can wrestle as well offensively better than defensively. We know the last time we saw AJ Cunningham was a TKO loss to Ludwig Klein 4 minutes and 36 seconds into round 1, but that fight was short notice for AJ Cunningham, to be fair. Young Yu needs to cement a game plan. He needs to wrestle and hold him, maintain top control, and if he gets right back up, shoot again and again. Do not settle for anything less. Over 2.5 is going to be the play. Give me Yu by decision, not you. Yu by decision is the play. Maybe plus 3.5 for AJ. But I really like Sung Young Yu. I like him. You know, honestly, I think he's a very good grappler. And I like to put my trust in grapplers. I think he's a good parlay piece. I might just take, when the props come out on Friday, I might just take Sung Young Yu by decision straight. I think it might be a good value. So give me Sung Young Yu to win this fight over AJ Cunningham by unanimous decision. I'll go 29-28 on all judges' scorecards. Let's go. Main card time. Damon Blackshear versus Cody Gibson. Damon Blackshear minus 410 versus Cody Gibson plus 340. With this fight right here, I suck at picking a Damon Blackshear fight, so obviously this is a nice little disclaimer. I'm not the best at picking Damon Blackshear fights. Minus 410 for Damon Blackshear versus Cody Gibson plus 340. An absolute war right here is what I'm imagining. It's always hard for me to predict a Blackshear fight because you never know what you're going to get with Blackshear. I think he's getting the hang of it now. Damon is super fast. He's super fast. He has very good power, and he has very good wrestling. One of the only times he couldn't wrestle was against Montel Jackson. Excuse me, guys. So, one of the only times he wasn't able to wrestle was against Montel Jackson because he got knocked out in 18 seconds. Montel Jackson is very good. Damon, 3-2 in his last 5. Damon has lost 3 times in the UFC with 1 draw to Uselyis, who we know is on the rise after beating Calvin Kattar. His most recent win over Cody Stamen was a good display of his ability to club and sub. He was able to hurt Cody, and then he subbed him with a good rear naked choke. Blackshear is always crazy, matched up against Cody Gibson. Cody Gibson is the much older fighter, by 7 years to be exact, might be the taller fighter, and they are always listed at 5'10". Both of these guys are listed at 5'10", but we're going to see who's the taller fighter on Friday. Cody Gibson can wrestle if he needs to. He is also on a bit more momentum than Demond Jackson. His 2 wins over Brian Kelleher and Chad Ellinger showed a good display of his grappling, both in those fights. Obviously, we know he has 13 takedowns in the UFC, and this is going to be an absolute banger fight of the wrestlers. I think this is Demond Blackshear's fight to win. Blackshear should be the better striker, better grappler, and even could maybe put in a nice club and sub, but don't count on it against Cody. He had a very good club and sub against Cody Stamen, but I think he can maybe, replicate that here over Cody Gibson. But we know Cody Gibson doesn't really get finished most of the time. Blackshear by KO on points, Blackshear by submission on points. Maybe this fight doesn't go the distance. So, I'm going to take Blackshear by submission on points. Obviously, when we look at the majority topology, they're expecting that a submission is more likely by KO on points. But if we're expecting this fight to go the distance, maybe the over 2.5 might be a little bit too risky. So I'm going to jump on Demond Blackshear by submission on points. Give me Demond Blackshear to win this fight. I'll go by 29-28 unanimous decision. Let's go Demond Blackshear for the win. Let's go. I was a little upset when I saw him get KO'd by Montel Jackson, but we know Montel Jackson is very good. No shame in that. Next fight. I can't. This is another fight that's a little bit tricky. Minus 185 for Alexander Hernandez versus Kurt Holobaugh, who's a plus 160. Alexander Hernandez and Demond Blackshear are some of the hardest fights for me to pick every single time they fight. I can't believe Alex Hernandez is only 32. I feel like he's older, but obviously he's very young. I think a good game plan and ability to set the pace can help him. He sometimes struggles as the fight gets later into the round. Alexander Hernandez can sometimes struggle with a little bit of cardio issues. Alexander Hernandez is a mystery box with 5 minutes of cardio. Good wrestler, good striking, good kicks. Lost to Donald Cerrone after being so confident. He fluctuates through 145 and 155, and finally he decides to stay at 155. Overall, Alex Hernandez is decent, but because he isn't a specialist anywhere, that's why almost every single one of his fights are him facing the smallest bit of adversity and then him fumbling the bag. He lost to Billy Q by KO, which is a massive red flag for me. I don't remember the last time Billy Q KO'd somebody. In reality, I thought he could beat Bill Algeo or even Demond Blackshear, and he's coming off of a good win over Austin Hubbard, a decent win over Austin Hubbard. I thought he could have won this fight against Demond Blackshear. It went split decision. Don't make him too competitive. That's Alex Hernandez's problem. Matched up against Kurt Holobaugh. Kurt is 38 years old, but he's fresh, as if he was 35. Kurt has very good pressure, decent power, and great head movement. And he's always in a competitive fight. He is 4-1 in his last 5, and they are both on a 1-fight win streak. But I feel like the momentum is on Kurt's side. He already beat Austin Hubbard 1 year ago with a triangle choke. Meanwhile, Alex is going to split decision with Austin. So, this is a massive take that I might take into consideration. Austin Hubbard got submitted by Kurt Holobaugh. Austin Hubbard goes to split decision with Alexander Hernandez. And maybe math doesn't always work, but just take that with a grain of salt. Kurt losing to Trey Ogden isn't even a bad loss. His most recent fight against Kenan Kruechki was amazing, but he needs to work on his takedown defense. Kurt isn't as athletic as Alex and can sometimes be a bit stiff, but he has great BJJ. Alex Hernandez needs a good game plan and coaching to win. Everything needs to go right for Alex to win, and I hate that about him. I have never bet on Alex ever in my life. I don't think I will now. Give me the plus 3.5 for Kurt. Low confidence, but I'm going to pick Alexander Hernandez. 1-800 gambler type fight. I might pick flip on Friday. But we have to mention, guys, I'm going to go Alexander Hernandez for the win. Over 2.5. Give me Alexander by decision. Obviously, if you want to take Kurt Holobaugh, take him by submission on points. He can definitely just submit Alexander Hernandez, and it's over. Give me Alexander Hernandez. Very low confidence. This guy always fumbles the bag. Let's see if he fumbles the bag here or not. Let's go. Give me Alexander Hernandez for the win. Let's go. Kevin Vallejos versus Sung Woo Choi. We know Kevin Vallejos is a minus 355. Sung Woo Choi plus 290. This is a good scrap, but the odds are so wide. Kevin is from Argentina, and he has durability. He He has competed on Dana White Contender Series twice. In his first time, it was unsuccessful, being a decision loss to Gene Silva, which is very impressive. Looking back at this fight now, looking back at that Gene Silva fight now, finally, Kevin Vallejos in the UFC, and I can't wait to see him scrap. Kevin Vallejos proves himself yet again by getting on a 3-fight winning streak and finally getting a UFC contract. Very good. Very, very good. I'm happy he finally gets a UFC contract. He has very good speed, and he has very good power. His power is his bread and butter. I can't even believe Kevin Vallejos is only 23 years old. We already know what we're going to get with Kevin Vallejos. This guy lost to Gene Silva by decision. You know how many people go the distance with Gene Silva? Not many. So just that alone, welcome to the UFC, my guy. Congratulations. Let's fucking go. Matched up against Sung-Woo Choi, a fast striker from South Korea. Very good low kicks, 1-4 in his last 5. Massive red flag. His most recent win is a decision win over Jarno Aarons. He has good takedowns, a great shot selection, but he can be chinny at times. Sung-Woo Choi, most recent bout, is a brutal KO loss to Steve Garcia, who I would have loved to see Steve Garcia fight Edson Barbosa. Choi went to a split decision with Culibao, and that's a massive red flag. We know Culibao is going to split decision with everybody. Lost by sub to Alex Caceres, who isn't a submission specialist, and he lost to Michael Trayon by a counter left hook 4 minutes and 51 seconds into round 1. Kevin Vallejos by KO on points is the play. The under 2.5 is perfect. Let's fucking go Kevin for the win. You better not get taken down. And I think if he does, he springs right back up and he doesn't settle for anything less. Give me Kevin Vallejos for the win. And it's about time he's in the UFC. I know what the matchmakers are doing. Give me Kevin Vallejos by knockout. I'm going to go by second round or third round TKO. Let's go Kevin Vallejos. Let's go. I can't wait for that fight. It's about time we see Kevin Vallejos in the UFC. Let's go, my guy. Let's go. Another amazing scrap, guys. Alessio Zaleski versus Chitty Bang Bang, Chitty Bang Bang, Chitty Bang Bang, Chitty Bang Bang, Bang Bang Bang. Zaleski, minus 185. Chitty Bang Bang, Chitty Njokuani, plus 160. I really like Chitty Bang Bang. I like his name. I like his nickname. It's pretty cool. Let's go. 36 years old for Chitty Bang Bang, Chitty Bang Bang, and 38 years old for Alessio Zaleski. I think this is an underrated co-main event. I don't know if Zaleski will use it, but he has a very good spin kick, like Ruffy. We know Ruffy just hit that on Bobby Green, and we know Zaleski was able to hit that beautiful spin kick on Sean Strickland in welterweight a couple of years back. Zaleski has real power, not only in his hands, but even in his legs. I don't know how, but he's able to generate so much power, and it's astonishing. He always stays busy, and he can get hit a lot of times, but he's always moving. The fact that Zaleski took Renat Fakardinov to a draw tells me that Zaleski may still have a couple of good scraps left in him. We know Renat got tired in that fight. Renat has a lot of close fights. He had a close fight with Zaleski. He had a close fight with Carlos Leao, who just knocked out Alex Moreno. I think Zaleski has great cardio for his age, and the fact that he can still find finishes shows that the power hasn't gone anywhere. For example, Zaleski's most recent fight against Zach Scrogan showed his power on full display with a brutal first-round TKO. First-round knockout. But we have to mention that it was very short notice for Zach Scrogan. Matched up against Chitty Bang Bang, Chitty Bang Bang, Chitty Bang Bang Bang. One of my favorite fighters to watch. Chitty has great speed, great management of pace, and he always moves. He may not be as fluid as Zelensky, but his reach being 7 inches longer and him being much taller could make this fight even. If you shoot on Chitty, you might be able to get him down and control him. I wonder if Zaleski ever tries to wrestle at all in this fight. We have to mention Chitty's 3-fight losing skid to Robocop, split decision to Albert Duraev, and Michael Lajacek, which is a little bit of a massive red flag, but it looks like he's getting his mojo back. He then beats Reese McKee by split decision and showed a full display of great volume against Jared Gooden, which in my opinion was by far his best performance to date. Chitty needs more volume if he wants to win this fight, and you need to put the pace, cut the cage, work, set up your low kicks, and start working upstairs as well. Don't just headhunt. Maybe Zaleski can win a round plus 3.5 for Zaleski, but Chitty has had much more competitive fights than Zaleski against, some could even say, maybe arguably better competition, but we know Zaleski has always faced tough competition throughout his entire career, so I can't really say that. They both face the toughest amount of competition that they've faced. Zaleski has a beautiful win over Benoit Saint-Denis as well. This guy is very underrated. I'm going to go the over 2.5. Very risky. Zaleski is very durable, but I don't think Chidi can finish him. Low confidence, but I think maybe the plus 3.5 for Chidi isn't bad. Zaleski is the pick, but super low confidence. Volume, pace can make the difference, and if you put the pressure, you never know. Zaleski, he might not be comfortable with the Chidi Bang Bang power. I'm going to go Zaleski. I'm going to go the over 2.5, and Zaleski never gets tired, so give me cardio. Give me Zaleski for the win. I'll go by 29-28 unanimous decision, but I might even take Zaleski by KO on points because this guy might get a brutal KO. I don't know how he does it, but this guy has some power that I've never seen generated with so much force. Zaleski for the win for me. Let's go by decision, 29-28. But if Chidi Bang Bang can get a win, I'm going to be screaming his name out so loud. Main event time, boys and girls. Marvin Vettori versus Roman Dolidze. Marvin Vettori minus 140, Roman Dolidze plus 110. A very high anticipated rematch for some. I'm very hyped for this matchup. I know a lot of people aren't hyped, but I'm always hyped. As long as we get fights on Saturday, I'm hyped. Italy versus Georgia. I think this is going to be an amazing scrap. It was beautiful the first time. And who doesn't like to see a good rematch? Marvin Vettori is only 31 years old, and he has an amazing amount of experience on his side. But we have to mention, guys, with Marvin Vettori has had a long layoff, a massive amount of time off. Not only has he had a massive amount of time off, but we don't know what's going on. I made a little bit of a speculation earlier saying that he might have a shoulder injury. I don't know how consistent that source is, but I will say, guys, take that with a grain of salt. We don't know how good... Excuse me, sorry, my dog wanted water. We don't know how good his shoulder is. We don't know if he's coming back for a quick paycheck. We don't know if the UFC is forcing him to come back. Marvin Vettori is only 31 years old with an amazing amount of experience matched up against Dolidze, who is actually the older fighter, surprisingly being 36 years old. Marvin Vettori has volume, pace, cardio, and takedowns on his side. Even in their first fight, it was 1-1 going to the third, and Marvin is outstriking Dolidze. This is going to be an absolute banger fight. Marvin has a good double leg and good shot selection. At times, his win over Paulo Costa was very funny, even the build-up to that fight. I was consistently laughing. Marvin Vettori and Paulo Costa are some of the funniest fighters in the middleweight division. Their build-up to that fight was by far the funniest build-up I've ever seen, bro. These guys are on Zoom calls. Paulo Costa can't make weight. Bro, it's hilarious as hell. And in my opinion, Dolidze's not going to be doing that, but I always like Marvin Vettori no matter what. No matter if he wins or loses, Marvin Vettori's a funny guy. Marvin is almost impossible to finish. In fact, he has never been finished in his entire career. If he loses this fight, it's either most likely by a decision or a crazy submission from Dolidze. Marvin has a chin made of granite, averages around 2 takedowns per fight, and we know sometimes he's very defensively sound. A phenomenal takedown defense as well. Marvin Vettori's most recent loss was to Jared Cannonier, where he had success early, but then Cannonier took over. Even when Vettori is losing, he always pushes forward and tries to make something work. Jared has freakishly strong power. So I'm not going to take anything from Marvin Vettori with that Jared Cannonier loss. Marvin did his best. He did the best that he could in that fight. Marvin most recently competed at ADXC against Tariq Soliman, where he won by decision, matched up against Roman Dolidze. A very high-skilled grappler. The day I found out about Roman was his crazy finish over Phil Hawes. I was watching that card live, and I'm looking, and I'm like, who's this Dolidze guy? And I see him, what he did to Phil Hawes, bro. He blew out his knee, and then he finishes him by KO. I've never seen somebody do that to Phil Hawes, and we know Phil Hawes is a little chinny. But come on, man. That was a beautiful masterclass from Roman Dolidze, and he put me on the map. I found out about him in that fight. He always plots forward, and he looks to stay in the pocket a little bit more often than I'd like him to. He can sometimes struggle to get the fight down to the ground. The last time Dolidze went 5 rounds was against Nassourdine Imavov, where he lost that fight decisively after gassing and not being able to implement his wrestling. His most recent win is a win by TKO over Kevin Holland, but Holland broke his rib. He broke his rib on the way down. So take that with a grain of salt, but he still was managed to win that fight. He was actually my lock of the week for that fight. We know that the last time these two fought was in 2023. The activity and momentum is on Dolidze's side, but I still think Marvin can edge this one out, as long as he's even 85% there. I don't know how real this shoulder injury is. I don't know if it's his right shoulder, his left shoulder. I don't even know if it's real. but I'm going to be taking that with a grain of salt. I feel like the sub offense from Dolidze will be very alarming and very worrisome, but Marvin should be able to nullify the sub attempts as long as he has the better cardio. This fight looks like it's Dolidze's fight to win. When I'm looking at the bookies, when I'm looking at the odds, and I'm hearing that there's a rumor of a shoulder injury, it feels like Roman Dolidze can win this fight and he can win the rematch. Maybe the over 3.5. I like the over 4.5, but I like the 3.5, over 3.5 to be safer. You could take Dolidze by sub or points. I'm going to pick Marvin Vettori with very low confidence for the win. Marvin Vettori by KO on points or even just money line. This fight seems like it might get sketchy. So, obviously, we know what we're going to get. This is going to be an absolute banger scrap, but we have to mention, guys, I don't know how much Marvin Vettori's there. I don't know if he's been training, guys. We don't know what we're going to get. Let me know what you guys think. Obviously, I'm going to be going Marvin Vettori by 48-47, 49-46, and 48-47 unanimous decision. But I'm also going to be taking maybe like a plus 3.5 for maybe. I know it's different with 5-round fights, but I think Dolidze can at least win 2 rounds out of the 5. You know, I think this might end 3-2. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 48-47 either way. I think this fight goes a distance. I like the over 4.5. I enjoy the over 3.5. And give me Marvin Vettori to win this fight by decision. Very low confidence. I don't know how real it is, but even if he has something wrong with him, guys, we've seen fighters perform over and over again. Even with ACL tears, these guys show up to fight. And as long as he doesn't blow out his knee with like a submission attempt from Roman Dolidze, I think this is Marvin Vettori's fight to win. Majority Tapology agrees with me. I like the over 3.5. If you see an over 4.5, jump on it. Over 3.5 is the play for me. I might jump on an over 4.5. But with this fight right here, guys, I'm going to be going Marvin Vettori for the win. 48-47 unanimous decision. Let me know what you guys think, guys. Do you guys think Marvin Vettori is hurt? Is his shoulder hurt? This guy has a chin made out of granite. I don't think Roman Dolidze is going to finish him by knockout. If he does, it's by submission. Maybe Dolidze by submission or no action. You know, maybe Dolidze by, inside the distance or no action. I'm going to be taking Marvin Vettori to win this fight, 48-47 unanimous decision. Let me know what you guys think. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let's fucking go. I'm sorry I'm a little bit later tonight, guys. Obviously, I had a little bit of issues earlier, but the best is blessed, baby. And as long as we get this uploaded, we go. Stay tuned for 6 best bets and lock of the week Wednesday and my last minute full card predictions on Friday. Thank you guys for all the love that you guys been giving me. And we hit 2,300. 3K on the way, baby. 2,500 first. Let's get it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Let's get it. Peace. The best is blessed, baby. A.